Welcome to Marvel Champions Podcast, a podcast about Marvel Champions, the card game. I'm your host, Scott, and with me as always, my co-host, Ryan.
How has it been, my brother?
It's been pretty good, Ryan. But, do you smell that? Smells like brimstone.
Sulfur?
Sulfur and brimstone.
Someone's has like a gas cloud over there? What is that?
Mm-hmm. It's Azazel in his fancy business suit.
You can smell the business and the BAMF on him.
Yes.
Double B.
And Azazel does not wear socks, apparently.
Does he not wear socks?
Nope. Does not wear socks.
Oh, does he have... Oh, yeah, his picture does not have socks. Yeah, he's definitely a business guy. He's kind of like that...
GQ?
Yeah, like the GQ, too cool for school kind of business guy if you don't wear socks.
Too cool for socks.
But you're short, your pants don't go all the way down, so everyone can tell you don't wear socks.
Yep.
It's a fashion statement.
That's right. Who else doesn't wear socks, Ryan?
Well, I'm not sure, but does Nightcrawler wear socks?
See, he must.
Is it all one giant suit?
It does look like one giant suit where only like his head is the only thing that's exposed to air. Yeah.
Man, what if you
look at his prehensile tail, I guess his tail sticks out too. But he's just wearing like a white shirt and some khakis. He's like working for State Farm. That card.
Kurt from State Farm.
That's right. So, yeah. So, Ryan, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, I'm guessing by our conversation, it's only taken us a month, but we're ready to talk about Nightcrawler and his review.
Nightcrawler. I need to clip in that one clip about Kurt Wagner. Something circus, but something.
Kurt Wagner. But in the Munich circus, I was known as the incredible Nightcrawler.
Yeah, save it. Storm.
We're out of here.
I'm trying to think. He makes a decent... He makes like a few episodes appearance in the 90s, but the Nightcrawler that I really remember watching was the X-Men Evolution. Do you remember that one?
I do. Where they're like high school teenage...
Yes, they're teenage mutant ninja humans. He's pretty prominent in that one, and I think he does pretty good on that.
Yeah, that one they gave him like a watch that made him look human.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. And then, of course, he's definitely has one of the best live action scenes with the X-Men 2.
Yeah, X2 is probably... I remember being like... wasn't a kid, but a younger person, and like seeing that scene, like, oh man, this is like my childhood come to live action.
Yeah, it was pretty boss.
Yeah. And our oldest brother, this is his favorite X-Man.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I guess I never really thought about that.
Yep.
We need to get him to play this.
Yeah, good luck.
Hey, we can try. He's played games.
Yeah. I fly, pilot.
Yeah. All right. Enough of this chit-chatting. Let's get to the real deal. Let's get to Nightcrawler.
No, I'll go. I'll talk about Kurt Wagner.
Okay.
He's a standard kind of X-Man. 6 hand size, 9 hit points, a little squishy. 3 recovery, kind of standard for some of these lesser X-Men. I do like his action. You can go grab a copy of BAMF from your hand. Oh, sorry. Copy of BAMF from your deck and add it to your hand. Limit once per round. I like it because it lets you go get some BAMFs. It does stink when you run out of BAMFs in your deck, but I think that's one of the things with Nightcrawlers. You always kind of have to know where either A or some BAMFs are. We'll probably get into that a little more.
Mm-hmm.
But alter ego, pretty standard. I do like they let you grab some BAMFs.
Yeah.
And I think from like a play style wise, it's almost sometimes worth using a BAMF as a resource. I think that's another aspect of him is when to know to use a BAMF for like a resource. Because in reality, it's like he starts with 7 hand size.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. I think it is a good, not an overpowerful ability, but very helpful, especially in the first round of being able to get a BAMF, which we haven't talked about yet, but I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you probably have a general idea what BAMF is, and we'll talk about it in a second anyways, but it's a key card he needs, and this is just a great way to get it.
This is like my first hot take with Nightcrawler, since we're in alter ego. We'll talk about like one of his only cards that has to do with him being alter ego.
Do you want to talk about that right now, or do you want to do his hero first? Just making sure.
I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid right off, Ryan.
Rip the Band-Aid. Here we go.
I'm just gonna get it done so we can just throw it in the trash.
Oh,
all right.
goodness. Oh, goodness.
Church Chapel. This, to me, was the biggest wasted card in his hero kit. I would have rather had like a 4th BAMF or another card or another copy of Teleport Drop. To me, this card, I don't know how other people play and take like a bunch of punches to the face, but I never really felt like I had that much damage to even warrant having 1+ recovery, and then just having the wasted card draw, because I rarely recovered. I think I recovered like once in one game out of all my plays. And I didn't even have the chapel out, so it didn't matter. So I don't like that the card draw is dependent on him making a basic recovery. I think that cost is too high when you have other characters in the game that just get a free card draw in alter ego.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm as harsh on it as you are, because having that +1 recovery can be nice, and I have played it and used it, and drawing a card was nice. But I think ultimately I agree with you. I think it just doesn't hit very well, and I mean, it's nice if you have it out, but I only get it out if I really just have the resource to do it, and it doesn't make a difference what else I do on that turn. So I think personally I would have rather had it as like Kurt gets the +1 recovery, and then alter ego response, shuffle a BAMF from your discard back into your deck. That way you can use his alter ego ability. So it's basically drawing a card, but it's specifically recycling your BAMFs.
Right. Yeah, just burn it down, okay?
Well, if you adjust it to a little bit more, something along that I suggest, does it have a little bit more staying power, or is it still pretty low on your totem pole?
It's low on my totem pole. There's very few characters who I think having a +1 recovery is like a huge win. So the stipulation on it is what drives me crazy. And I know some people are like, but you can give the card to other people, and that's what it gains its value. I just don't see the value in it being dependent on him recovering.
Yeah. Two things. One, when I meant by like draw another BAMF, I meant to be, instead of saying alter ego response, it should have been alter ego action. You just get to put a BAMF into your discard.
Now there, I could, even if it wasn't drawing a card, if it was just like, or if it was like, put a BAMF from your discard into your deck and then draw a card, I'd be cool with that. You still get that card draw, and I can see probably why they didn't give it to him, because you can go get that BAMF for free, so it's like you get a free card in alter ego.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't add the draw card. I would just say move your BAMF to your deck, because you're going to get that action to draw one.
See, I don't really feel like that's needed because of the hero, which we'll talk about. So I don't.
Yes.
You don't need to put them back into your deck because you have a way to go recur them at a discard.
It just makes it free, I guess. But yes, I see what you mean.
So I mean, I can see how you're trying to like make it better, but it's not necessary because he has ways to do that already.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if it would be better as like because several heroes have this to do it more as like shuffle a Nightcrawler hero card back into
Event
the deck
or something,
like either one or two, and it can be any of them, not just BAMF.
Right, because that could pair with like his tail. His tail's giving him a resource for an event. I know it's open to an event, not just his event, but to me it makes a little more sense, something like that.
But specifically tying it to recovery is one of the big letdowns for you, right?
Yes. I just don't like it.
Fair enough. I don't know if I am as strong as a hater as you are, but I do see your point, and I do think it is one that just doesn't get played very often for me. Yeah. So, sorry, Kurt's Chapel. You have lost your membership.
Excommunicado. See ya, buddy.
Excommunicado. Wait, it's a different universe.
All right, Ryan, tell us about Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler. He's a 2-thwart, 1 attack, 3 defense hero. And he's, of course, an X-Man. And his action is rapid teleportation. Spend 1 resource of any type. Return a copy of BAMF from your discard pile to your hand. Limit once per turn. And you will be using that quite often because you want BAMFs to be getting out.
All right, talk to me about stat line, Ryan.
I think the 2-thwart is nice. The 1 attack kind of stinks, but it gets resolved later on. But the 3 defense is very high. And I like having 3 defense, but I have a hot take probably when we talk about Nightcrawler that I'll probably reference back to his defense. But yeah, it's a pretty decent stat line, and it only gets better when he gets an upgrade out. So I'd say, all right, pretty decent.
Yep, I'm with you. I think we might as well just transition over to BAMF.
We got to.
Yeah, he's got 3 copies, 0 cost upgrade, attached to an enemy, max 1 per enemy. When attached to hero interrupt, defense. When attached to enemy attacks, discard this card. Declare Nightcrawler as the defender without exhausting him. So it's his big whole thing. He can defend without exhausting. So he can potentially defend multiple times in a singular villain phase, which is kind of cool. We haven't really seen that done in this way before. So what'd you think about that, Ryan?
I mean, this is his whole thing, and I found it fairly fun. I enjoyed throwing a BAMF on there and using it, and sometimes choosing not to and just waiting for the right opportunity. There are some decks where you want to keep it on for a long time, but I like the idea of not having to exhaust to defend. I think that is fun, and it creates some unique opportunities, especially with protection.
Yeah, I think that's like the elephant in the room, right? He excels at protection because of that defense.
Yep.
And like a perfect defense build. Because more times than not, I would take no damage. If I did, it was usually fairly low. 1, 2.
Yeah, he's a fairly low damage taking hero, which can be really fun in some ways. It makes you feel very powerful when you aren't taking damage. You're just brushing off. But I do tend to see heroes that have high defense. They generally they struggle with thwarting and attacking because it's all about defending, and they typically get exhausted and stuff. But with BAMF not having to exhaust Nightcrawler, I think that does add a little bit of versatility to what you can do on his hero turn.
And we'll talk a little more about BAMF, because not only is it the upgrade that's attached, it's kind of interwoven through some of his events.
Mm-hmm.
and almost turn into a resource cost sum. Oh, I'll get your take on that as well.
Yes. Yeah. I know what you mean.
All right. So comes with 2 upgrades, Ryan. If you had both in your hand and you could only play one, which one are you playing?
That's a tough one because they're both
That is a
really
tough one.
good.
They are.
I think for the overall deck, depending on which deck I'm rolling, I think I'd probably do his tail because it creates a resource, and having resource generation is always really helpful in a game. And it allows you to control one additional upgrade that has the restricted keyword, which I didn't have to deal with much in my playthroughs, but that is a nice little bonus to have. But yeah, having a resource for events in a deck that's fairly event heavy, or at least can be, it'd be really nice to have that resource for only 1 cost.
I'm with you. I found I wanted to put out his cutlasses a little more because I felt like because I am defending as much as I want to.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
liked having the retaliate and I liked having the defense.
Oh yeah,
I found them slightly valuable, but you do make a great point that having that one resource, especially if you're playing a protection, a lot of those protection events are 1 cost.
yes,
Being able to use that where you're not having to get rid of another card out of your hand going into the next player phase was nice.
Yeah. Generally, if I'm in a situation where I have to choose between the two, I'm doing all I can to save one of them because I want both of them out. Because with those 2 out, he's set up. He's ready to go.
Yes, I would agree with you. They're both highly valuable. That one's tough. That's like trying to figure out which child they're going to save, Ryan.
Oh, I know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, both, I think thematically and execution-wise, both these were really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think, even thinking about it right now, I'm like, well, I don't know. Those cutlasses would be really nice to get that plus 1 attack, plus 1 defense, and retaliate. That's huge. I could deal with
That's a big
resource
card.
costs. It's a really good card, but it's a very powerful 2 cost upgrade. So, but combined, whew, nasty.
All right.
Let's talk about an ally. Let's talk about Day Tripper. What do you think about Day Tripper?
I thought she was good. She's 2s across the board, and her response after she comes in, you can go search for a copy of BAMF, discard or deck. You attach it, and then everybody's got a BAMF gets a damage. Pretty good response. Kind of helps you get more BAMFs out. Low cost. Pretty good.
Yeah, I thought she was great. The way I've always thought of it is it's a 2 cost event that brings out a BAMF and damages and a potential to thwart or to attack with a tough.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And it's a really good ally for him.
My only slight negative is she's a mystic trait, so can't combo off like a team building or anything with her.
That is true. Yeah.
So her cost reduction just simply wasn't there.
Yeah.
But
at 2
2
costs, it's not too bad.
I can get over it. Right.
Yeah.
If she was like a 4, then I'm like, this card's awful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If it was a 3, I would not like this card.
Yeah.
But I think 2 makes it. Maybe even too powerful. But I really like getting her out. So I think she really helps his deck. And what he wants to do.
I agree. I'll go ahead and spoiler alert. She's probably not getting the roadie this year, so
she will not get the roadie award, most likely. Who knows? It's going to be a tough competition this year.
Yeah, some stiff competition.
All right, so he does come with events as typical. He has several. He has his typical, I would say the general attack event and his general thwart event. Which one did you like more?
Are you talking about Port and Punch and Scout Ahead?
Correct.
So I like Port and Punch a little more. I felt like his damage was a little bit of his weakness in his hero kit. But with Port and Punch, I have to remember to read the card, because when I was playing a lot of solo games, I was like, okay, it's gonna do 3 to to an enemy, and then 3 to whoever had the BAMF. But it's not really that way. It's 3 to an enemy, and then 3 to each enemy with a BAMF.
Yep.
So potentially it can be up to a total of 12 spread, or
Correct.
it could be 6 to the villain, right? Or it could be 6 to the villain and 3 to this minion. So I had to remember like each BAMF, so trying to get as many BAMFs as possible. On average, I only really ever had like 1 out. One game I got it pretty good where I could have 2 out, but then I couldn't find Port and Punch. So I think it was good having his tail and depth focus and like X gene. You can get it down to 1 or none pretty easy. So it was good. It was just trying to hit it at the same time as having your maximum amount of BAMPs you could have was the only like balancing act.
Yeah. I never played it unless I had at least 1 BAMF out.
Sure, I'll agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Because 2 for 3 is not good.
Yeah, 2 for 3 not good, but 2 for 6, I'd do it. Even if it's spread 3-3, but 2 for 6 is great, and then 2 for 12 is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I really I think it fits that thematic element of bouncing around. So I think that it was a good designed card.
Yep. It made you feel like, ooh, a punch over here, punch over here, teleport, punch over here. Yeah, I like that.
I will note, Scout Ahead, I do have a criticism for it.
Ooh.
I did not like having to discard a BAMF from my hand. And not only that, but the additional threat has to be from another scheme. It can't be the same one.
Right, so thematically it's him teleporting, right?
Yes.
I'm with you too. I did find a weird, like, hesitation. Yeah, I really want to put this BAMF out, or I can put a second BAMF out on the field. I want to put it out. I don't want to have to use it to take more threat away. Yeah, this one's like borderline for me.
Yeah, but at one cost for just 3 threat, if you didn't have a BAMF, it's not bad. So I definitely used it, and I used it well. And so I think overall it's a good thwart. It just felt awkward sometimes, but it still worked. So I will not say it's a bad card.
Yeah, I'm with you. Cost reduction, you can usually get it down to nothing for 3.
Exactly. Yep.
I guess it really just depends on a little bit of your scenario, because how many times you have in multiple schemes. It's going to vary.
All right, man. Well, let's see if we can run through these final 3. Any particular one you want to go with real quick?
We'll do teleport drop pretty quick. 2 gust event.
Okay.
Just big damage dealer. This one's tough for me because to me, I always felt like this needed to be the villain card to maximize what I'm getting. Because I don't really want to deal A damage to a minion and kill it, so I don't get the stun.
Correct.
But then it's like, well, I don't want to have to discard a copy of BAMF. Because then, if you don't have a copy, you gotta go spend 1 to get 1, put it out, then it gets discarded, so you can do this action. But 8 damage and a stun is nice. And there's only 1 copy, so I always felt like I needed to play it if I had it.
Yeah, it's a villain card for sure. There's not a whole lot of minions that can take 8 damage and still live, so you can stun it. So it's a villain card, which I don't like that it's pigeonholed as a villain card, but I still like the big damage of it, and I think it's thematic. So
I'm with you. Which next card do you want?
I'm gonna go with Port Away. This is one of his unique events. At 0 cost, superpower. It is an action, so it can be either alter ego or hero form. Discard a copy of BAMF from your hand. Change forms and ready your identity. I found this card to be situational. if I got it in my hand, I generally thought about how I can utilize this to the best of my ability. And sometimes it was, don't, just let it go. And so for 0 costs, I didn't mind it. Sometimes it worked great, sometimes it didn't. But overall, I think it's a good event to have that's not just an attack or a thwart, but like changes things around for you.
See, this is another one that the cost of the BAMF was a little too much for me.
Ooh.
Yeah, I rarely played this one. I know the whole thing is he flips and you can get the BAMF back with his alter ego ability.
Well,
I don't know.
Not really.
Well, it's like I gotta discard a copy. If I don't have one, I gotta pay one to get a BAMF. I gotta discard it, discard this card. I get to change. Hopefully I've got a BAMF in my, deck. Pull it back out. Then I flip back up. I'm ready, use my chapel.
Well, I think part of that is that chapel.
No, I agree. And I was gonna make that point when we got here. They want you to be able to heal and ready and heal and get your card and flip back up and teleport and BAMF. But I just, and this is totally my opinion and probably based off of my play style. But I just didn't find a lot of value in it.
All right, yeah.
Almost found it as like a dead, like this card and this chapel are just like dead cards to me.
Ouch. I don't think Port Away for me, when I've played with it, it's not a dead card. I think the redding is really nice. That really helps in some ways. But I see your point. Yeah.
But if you're not exhausting to defend, you should be ready.
Well, if you're multiplayer, you might be.
That's your problem.
Or there are plenty of encounter cards that make you exhaust.
Have more BAMFs, right? Multiple BAMFs. I'm just kidding. You can't do that.
It's all about the BAMFs.
Play how you want, Ryan.
You know what? I'm just going to play Port Away as it's just a ready card. I don't have to discard anything. That's the way I have fun.
Yeah.
All right. What's the last one?
Tally-ho! Which I like. It's pirate themed.
Yep.
So it's his defense card. So this is, we were chatting a little before we started, but I might have had an epiphany with this one.
Oh.
As we were prepping for the episode. So it's hero response defense. After BAMF makes Nightcrawler the defender of an attack, return that copy of BAMF to your hand. Deal 3 damage to the attacking enemy.
Okay.
So the response is to the interrupt of the BAMF, correct?
Yes.
So
after.
When attached enemy attacks, discard this card. So that's the beginning of the activation of the attack, right?
Okay, yeah.
So you discard it, then your response with Tally-ho. So you would deal the 3 damage prior to the attack resolving.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So part of that epiphany was this is probably a little bit better card against some minions.
Yeah.
I think some of his protection cards he comes with is to try and kill them before they can actually attack.
Yeah.
So
I think we'll talk about it in protection, but you would like to take out some minions during the villain phase. So
because not only is there some benefits to some of that, but they don't attack you. So it goes into a lot. So I think timing wise, that's really nice. That came into play a couple times for me. Was being able to like deal those extra little bits of damage. At times I felt like he struggled a little bit with damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I just got to like the weird spot in my deck where I didn't have any of his attack events.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't have his cutlass, I didn't have that retaliate. I didn't have that +1. This kind of gave me a little bit more damage that I was needing at different times. So I liked it. I liked Tally-ho.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to add than what you've already said. It's a good defense for him, and I like it. I think the thing I like most about it is the BAMF returning to your hand. I really like that because it's so often getting discarded. It's nice to be able to just like, oh, thank you, I have one back already.
So you make a good point there because you can, if you had another one in your discard, go spend a resource. Now you have 2. You can put those out. If you get lucky and you've got Port and Punch, now you've got more damage getting dished out. And I liked that.
Yep. Very much agreed.
All right, Ryan. Comes with protection.
That was a big surprise with a 3 defense hero.
Yeah, right. I don't think there's a couple of these I want to just kind of highlight, but why don't you give me one of your favorite protection cards that he comes with?
One of my favorites that I have played, and it was my favorite with a different hero, but I think it works fine with Nightcrawler, is Change of Fortune, the 1 cost upgrade. I love drawing cards, and it's very fun to draw cards, and that's what this does.
Yeah, and I think with my Epiphany,
Yes.
obviously you need to play a little bit more of a minion-heavy deck. It's not very often that you're defeating a villain on a villain phase, but...
True.
But yeah, that extra card draw, the retaliate, makes it a little more convenient and easily accessible.
Yep. I wasn't totally sure on this one. I thought it'd be at least all right, but playing with it, I've had a lot of fun being able to draw those 2 cards, and I've watched myself plan to make sure I can get it, and so I really like it.
And I think you make a good point there. This is not a card for everyone.
Yes.
This is a very specific hero type.
Yeah, I mean, could you use it with any hero? Sure, it's just going to be a lot more difficult with some than others.
Right, a lot harder time to actually get the response.
Yep. What was the one card that stood out to you?
Well, I was going to mention a card that I saw you play, but it's not the one that stood out to me.
Oh,
but
okay.
You played Under Control in that same deck.
Yes.
That's their minion attachment. And that comboed well with your Change of Fortune, which I liked watching you do it. It was really good.
Yeah. I think Under Control is a little bit more flexible with heroes than Change of Fortune, especially if you want to use it with a Cyclops deck. I think you could do that. But any defensive type hero would benefit from Under Control, especially because sometimes protection can struggle with minion control.
All right. I liked... Come at me, bub.
I knew it.
Yeah, being able to kind of play into that whole minion defeating, but you got to get a minion, right? But this one, to heal, gives you a tough status card.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not a bad minion.
So, yes, yeah.
Right. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I'd rather have the villain destroy my tough than maybe a minion with a 1 attack. I'd rather take the 1 than have to deal with a big villain attack.
Yeah. No, I have played it. There's been several times where I've had it in my hand and I was like, having a minion's not what I need right now. But it definitely has its place. Healing 3 is really nice, and gaining a tough is really nice, especially if you have the attack ability to take out minions fairly easy. It's really good. And I think it's going to be good for minion killer heroes like a Thor.
Right. People that have some of their stuff built around defeating a minion or defeating an enemy of some kind.
Yep. So for
another card that was really good for me, Ryan, was the Power of Protection.
Oh yeah.
Got him. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, I interrupted your thought there.
No, you're good. There's just 2 other cards I just want to point out. I don't need to stick very long, but I did enjoy Astonishing X-Men player side scheme. For 1 cost 5 thwart, you can stun and confuse each enemy in play. Now, it does have a response that's related to X-Men characters, but I found that it wasn't necessary for me. It's nice to have it, but the times I've played it, I've actually wasn't an X-Men, and I thought it was still pretty strong.
Yeah. No, in that game we played with it. It's like, hey, I can destroy this minion for you, and you're like, no. I'm gonna stun and confuse. I'm gonna stun and confuse everyone. And I said, okay.
Yes. And it's a flat 5, which makes it better for multiplayer games.
Sure. I mean, ideally, you get it down with a couple of defenses. Then it's much more manageable. 3, 4.
Yeah. And the other card that I want to mention is Gambit.
That was gonna be my one I was gonna point out, but I'll let you steal the thunder. Go ahead.
No, you can take it. I was just gonna say I found him to be a pretty good ally that's not X-Men trait lock.
Yeah, I found a lot of value in Gambit. Most of the time, it would become a 2/2 for me. But there was those rare times where I was like, "Oh, that's a 3." And a 3/3/3/3 is pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That fact of being able to pull it out a encounter card and basically, or using its words, tuck it away for who knows how long. It might be quick, or you might just hold on to Gambit forever. It's pretty sneaky.
Yeah, that's the other unintended playstyle you can do with him is there a really bad card that I luck into in the top 3 that I just wanted to sit there, because then when it's done, it goes in the discard.
Yep.
So, or it sits under him. I just let him sit on it.
Now, is there a lot of cards that have that phrasing of tuck under him or tuck under it?
Tuck is a new keyword. I have to look at his little sheet that he comes with, the Nightcrawler insert. But I think tuck is a new word.
Okay. Because that's, I've seen tuck in other games, and I'm just trying to think. There are cards that you place it underneath it, but I don't know if it uses the word tuck.
See, I don't think it does. Most other cards, it wants you to place them face down, so they're not being referenced in play or whatever. But this one specifically says that you tuck it under him so that you can only see the boost, the old line visible.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's gonna be something that's gonna continue on, or if it's just this one time, or it might just pop up every so often. So
Riposte, it was good. It kind of goes into those +2 defense if you didn't take any damage, deal some damage. I think there's finally a good variety of those out there.
Yeah.
To whatever you need to fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Which I like.
I thought it was okay. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't super.
It's very hero and situational.
Yeah. It fits with the whole change of fortune kind of vibe they've got going on this one. But
all right, Ryan. I don't want to spend too much time, but Rogue and North Star, did you play either of those?
I personally did not, but I don't think they're terrible. I just didn't.
I think I played North Star once.
Yeah,
and it was good. I mean, it was fine.
I think North Star has some value. Rogue being at 4 cost is just not one that I'm keen into, especially her ill action has a damage a friendly character, which is never something I generally want, but it does make her a lot more powerful.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking if you're set up with Nightcrawler, let's say you do a 2 Nightcrawler, it makes her a 4/4.
Yeah, I mean, you could do crazy builds, I'm sure, do a Spider Woman with her, and you play cards to jack her attack up, plus if you play aggression with it and do whatever the card is that boosts your attack value.
Yeah.
You could probably make a super powerful Rogue, but I think that process just to do that for Rogue at 4 costs, you'd find just a better strategy doing something else.
Yeah.
I wish it could have included, or deal 1 damage to another friendly character, or I'd rather it just been to another character, so you could even damage a
like a minion.
a minion or something. I think that would have been a little nicer.
Okay. All right. Before we go down to some final thoughts, and I want to talk some aspects, right? Did you ever encounter Azazel?
I did. I have encountered Azazel. I think he's a good nemesis.
I do too. I think he's well thought out and done well. To feel like he's just annoyingly bamfing around and coming out and quick striking you.
Yeah. I think he's a very balanced card. He's not overpowerful, but he's strong in the right ways. Quick strike's nasty, 3 attacks nasty, but 3 health, that allows you to get rid of him easily. Fairly easy, I should say. But he can keep bothering you, which is fun.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, so he's out. I defeated his side scheme, which makes him turn back into a face down encounter card. So then he flipped back up, quick striked. Then I got like 2 brimstones, like back to back.
Yeah.
So it finds him, reveals him, he quick strike again. Just crazy things like that.
Yeah. I think that's I think honestly, this Nemesis set's probably good enough you could play him as an encounter set, and he would be a fun encounter set to play with.
No, I agree. They did really well with this Nemesis. It was frustrating. Like, it really slowed that, like, this point of my game down like a couple of turns. I mean, a lot of things played into me, like getting the wrong encounter cards and whatever, but it was like, oh man, he would just not leave me alone.
Yeah.
It was
I
good.
agree.
It was in a good way.
Yeah, I think they did a great job with him.
I agree.
There's a couple of additional things. It does come with additional cards. There's 2 alliance cards: Combined Forces, Aggression, and Gunboat Diplomacy, Justice. I haven't played the Combined Forces Aggression card, but I'm not a big fan of it. Gunboat Diplomacy I've played with, and that was a lot more fun. And I think that has a place in future decks. And might be the first alliance card I may play more than once.
Oh, fancy. I haven't really tried to play them or make them work. The Combined Forces one to me is, you gotta get situational. You gotta get minions out and do things with minions.
I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah. I'm with you.
I would have preferred it say defeat a minion, because you're exhausting 2 characters.
Plus the cost of 1.
Yeah. The gunboat diplomacy, I think, is better. Whatever. There's one more thing to cover.
So I got a quick question for gunboat diplomacy.
Okay.
It lets you do like an either or, right? No, it is both. Never mind.
It does both. Yeah,
it is
that's
both.
what makes it powerful.
That's a way better card. Yeah, that'd be a good Gamora card if you could make it work.
Oh yeah.
You'd have to have an X-Force and an X-Men character, but
which there's enough that you could do it. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. There's enough that's not trait locked.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. All right, let's talk aspects. Clearly, he's good in protection.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I had a couple different strategies in the other ones. I don't know if you went that deep into your analysis.
I have played all of them, except for pool aspect. I did not do that.
Yeah, pool, whatever. So, would you rather talk about leadership or aggression?
Leadership.
All right. So what was your strategy with leadership?
The obvious strategy with leadership is to utilize the leadership cards to get Day Tripper out. And,
okay.
Yep, I had a deck that basically did that. Got her out, kept her out not as long as possible, but just get her out as frequently as possible to activate her response. That was incredibly helpful. I've had it where by playing her, I've had all 3 BAMFs out, and so I'm dealing multiple damage. I'm getting my BAMFs. I'm being able to do these other events, like I can do teleport drop, and still have my hero action to get a BAMF back and just put it on the villain. So yeah, the leadership Day Tripper Surge is pretty strong deck for him.
Okay. I went slightly different. I played off of his stat line. I played like a morale boost with a go all out.
Okay.
So morale boost, if you don't know, lets you do +1, +1, +1 for the round.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had the cutlasses out, it'd make him a 3/3/4. Then a go all out lets you exhaust and deal damage with those all combined for 10.
Yeah, that's a lot of amounts.
Yeah. So part of the go all out, there is a requirement, but with his prehensile tail, it helped out with that. So it was
Yeah.
it was a damage dealing leadership deck, and then I played a bunch of allies to help with thwart. Like
Yeah.
I felt his 2 thwart was good, but if I needed to defend an extra time or something, or wasn't readied or anything like that, they could kind of help fill in some of those blanks.
Yeah, I agree. I like your idea on that leadership. So I like that leadership has different options for him. You could,
Right.
of course, do a ally heavy leadership, which is common, but you can do a signature ally focus, or you can do a stat line focus build with leadership. So definitely a lot of options in leadership for him, and they're great.
Yep, you got it, dude.
I
All
will
right,
say
let's talk aggression.
Okay, all right.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say justice, but let's go aggression.
Yeah, we're gonna go justice last because that was like my least like focused.
Spoiler alert.
No, so let's see, aggression. I went with almost like a little bit of an Iceman aggression, so I played off of upgrades.
Yep.
So I used a lot of surprise move and take that to deal a bunch of damage because it was easy to get upgrades attached. So that one was good. I dug heavy in on that, and then I played like Shark Girl, Glob, just played off the whole attachment upgrade.
Yeah.
Piece. So
yeah, he's really good with that. With those aggression card releases about the upgrades, it's made a lot of heroes have a boost in aggression.
One card I was going to point out was with his big teleport drop, you can play Marked. Marked in attachment, attached a minion that gains attacks, gain overkill.
Yes.
You still don't get the stun, but you could at least overkill with teleport drop.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think aggression is a very fun deck with him. For being such a defensive type hero, I think aggression works really good with him.
Yep.
I don't know if it's my favorite. I think part of that is aggression's not my number one aspect, but it is very much a viable aspect for him.
Yeah. I think the other thing is scenario. Whatever scenario you're playing, if you are playing a big minion heavy scenario, aggression can be fun.
Yeah. I think for the final one, Justice, I will have to say that I didn't like it that much. I struggled with Justice with him. I just couldn't figure out a solid strategy that works with the current Justice pool. And this is kind of a side note, is lately I've been playing Justice, of course, because it's one of my favorite. But I've noticed that or at least I've felt that Justice has been lacking some synergy cards with heroes. For example, Aggression just got a facelift with cards that play off the upgrades attached to enemies, which plays along with a lot of heroes right now. But I've felt that Justice hasn't had that boost in card types. And so I think I struggle with Justice, and I'm not a big fan of Justice Nightcrawler right now.
Okay. It's funny because I was going to say for Justice, I just kind of went with the Justice norm. Like there was no
that's
special
all it is.
cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I got my couple multitaskings, a little bit stuff here, a little bit there. Confused.
That's really the best Justice decks is basically those cards, and you're good to go.
So what you're saying, Ryan, is developers need to vitalize some Justice.
Yeah,
They haven't had a big upgrade since the Shield archetype.
Yeah, actually, I would agree with that. I think Shield was a great facelift for Justice and created some unique combos. But since then, I really haven't felt a lot of good combos. I think there's some, but not as much as I would like. I would have loved to see some Justice cards that would work with Nightcrawler, like if you defeat an enemy with an attachment, removes such threat, or I don't know.
Does Justice have a bunch of attached upgrades? Befuddled.
It's got Befuddle. No. Yeah, well, it's got a couple of...
Which isn't great.
Yeah, Befuddle's not the greatest. I think the better attachments is actually 2 side schemes.
That's what I was just about to say. It looks like a lot of the attachments are going on to side schemes or schemes.
Yeah. I think those are the better attachments, so I wish they can explore that a little bit more. But, in all due time, I'm sure there will be a Justice facelift on card types eventually.
Sure.
So.
And protection is what it came with. Probably excels.
It's golden.
He can do those protection, tried and true protection builds, very easily.
Yep. I have 0 complaints with protection. He works great in it.
Yeah. I think the biggest one is the take no damage, do the cascade of things. Probably one of his better builds.
Yeah. Well, I think before we head into final thoughts, did you want to touch on Crazy Gang at all?
Let's see. Crazy Gang. So crazy. It's so crazy. I liked playing with them. It added minions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all their wind revealed things, it's hard to stop a wind revealed from a minion. So if you like that, they definitely play into that. They don't scheme, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. I think they're very interesting, but I found every time I've played with them, I don't think I got the full effect of them. And
right.
I think to really get the full effect of them, I think the side scheme has to be out.
And let me just preface, the not scheming thing. They have schemes of 0, and their whole thing is you get tricked into this false sense of they don't scheme, but if you have their side scheme out, it does bad things.
Yep.
It makes their wind reveals keep happening because they get dealt as a face down encounter card. So,
yeah, I think it was all right, but overall, my experience with it is I felt like I got stunned a lot. I got Tweedledope.
Yeah.
I got him a lot. And I was just like, ugh, I don't want to be stunned again for no reason.
Yeah, it was good. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy about it.
Yeah.
It is good.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right.
Let's
do it.
It's come to that point.
Oh. Nightcrawler. This one's tough because Nightcrawler is a huge fan favorite for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And it's keeping that fan favorite, exalted status. How does that translate into a hero pack?
Yeah.
See, for me, Nightcrawler's tough because of that, and he's very fun to play, very thematic to play, but I just didn't find him as crazy good to play and a little samey to play. I'll pause there and let you throw something in.
Okay. All right. To comment on your samey, I think if we didn't have Iceman earlier, I think he would feel a little bit more refreshing.
Okay.
But with Iceman also having upgrades that you attach to enemies, I think that's where some of the same possibly could be coming from. I don't know if you feel that same way.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think, yeah, it's a tough one. I think I can confidently say I think Nightcrawler is good. I think he's got a lot of good cards. I like playing with the BAMFs. He's got great upgrades. Signature ally is really great. There's a lot of good things with Nightcrawler, and he plays pretty good in most of the aspects. I think one struggle I do have is I don't know if I like him with 3 defense. I think I'd rather have his defense lower and his attack higher, and BAMF being a way to like not just defend but maybe reduce damage, because I feel like Nightcrawler, if Nightcrawler got punched in the face by Juggernaut, he would explode. He doesn't really have a defense, but it's his
Sure.
ability to be able to not be in a position to get punched, which is makes him that strong. So I think thematically, in that way, I think it's off a little bit. But I see why they did the 3 defense. So that's more of a nitpick, I will have to say, than an actual like complaint.
Okay.
I hope that made sense.
No, it did. I mean, playing a little bit of thematics, right? But this is where you get into the hard thematics with mechanics of the game, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I don't know how they tested it, but maybe they did test a version of that and it just didn't feel right and didn't work. So,
Right. I think the other thing, which you pointed out, which I hadn't really thought about it, but like, it's interesting to think about how the sequencing of releases can play on how you like a character or how a character feels to you. Because, like you said, what if Nightcrawler came out first in the wave?
Yeah, I think we would have at least to a degree a similar feeling of Iceman. Be like, well, we just saw like BAMF being a big upgrade and getting those out, and now here we are doing it again. It's just a slightly different version of it.
Right. I mean, for a lot of the community, it seemed like coming out after Jubilee was a high point.
Yes.
But I don't know. Maybe that's my hot take. Jubilee's kind of grown on me a little bit.
This isn't obviously a Jubilee review, but she's a solid hero.
I know. Save it, Ryan. Save it for the end of the year. Save it for the end of the year.
End of year. All right. Nightcrawler.
Yeah, I'm
this
with
is
you.
such
Like,
an awkward one, I feel like.
yeah, like that's the thing is like, I don't want to give off the perception that I think he's bad, but I don't also want to give off the perception that I think he's this like S tier character.
Yeah, I think he has some flaws in his cards that make him less than he potentially could be. But
Yeah,
I think we know exactly the card you're referring to.
yeah, a couple wasted cards. Yeah,
but yeah, I think he's a fun character. I think if we played if people sat down and someone was like, yeah, I'm gonna play Nightcrawler, I'd be like, great. I would never be like, ugh, not a Nightcrawler. Now I gotta pick this kind of hero to compensate for the lack of what they're gonna do.
see, I thought that same thing as you were, we've been talking about this. Like, I don't think he's that complicated that I wouldn't be okay with like giving either a very new person or like a semi-new player Nightcrawler. I don't think he's that hard to pick up on.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a brand new player, but I think if you did give him to a brand new player, they would eventually figure it out in that game. So, all right, man. Here comes the most important part that everyone's been waiting for, and probably fast forward to this point.
Try to skip to here.
Skip to 102 or wherever we're at.
All right. I am going to give him a rating of an A-. I know it's probably like you just ripped on him, But I think he does. How about this? Give him an A- for protection, or maybe an A to A- in protection, and then probably a B+ in most other aspects.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I think he's your defense protection character for at least a good couple of waves.
Yeah.
Looking backwards, like I don't know what's in the future, but like from the X-Men waves, X waves, he's like the protection character.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think so tough. Oh man, I can't even remember what I gave Iceman, because I think I like him more than Iceman. So whatever Iceman was, he is above him.
Okay.
But I don't remember the score, so I'm just gonna say he is I think I would just say A- like you did. I won't do the caveat, though I would say Justice, he's a little bit lower for me, but I'll just say A-. I would probably just give him an A just to make it nice and neat. But I think some of his Kurt's Chapel, I think, hurts him a little bit. And I think Poured Away, it was all right. I don't know if I would say. I think Kurt's Chapel is my biggest letdown in his deck. And then, yeah, I'd just say A-. I think he thwarts good. I think he attacks good. I think he defends great. And he's got some good cards to complement all that. And he's fun in most of the aspects. And you can have some fun decks. So, yeah, we'll go with A-.
I think it's solid. All right, Ryan. Nightcrawler. Finally got him.
That's right. He's one that definitely, if you like the hero of Nightcrawler, I think you'll like him.
Yeah, I agree. We didn't really talk about the art too much, but I think they did well with his art overall. The BAMF card's good. His hero card's good.
Yeah. There's a lot of comic images. They got images from the comics.
Yeah.
But I think Nightcrawler is very photogenic in his art. Okay. So they probably had a lot of options with the comics. So, and he's got a lot of good action epic picks. So
yeah,
they had a lot to pull from.
All right. Well, if we were completely wrong about Nightcrawler, we want to hear about it. Or if we were completely right, because sometimes that does happen. We want to hear your thoughts. Yeah, I know, right? Hear your thoughts, the community's thoughts about Nightcrawler. And you can do that by reaching out to us at marvelchampionspod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Or if you got a card that you think Nightcrawler can make him better, or if you could burn down Kurt's Chapel and rebuild it, what would that card do? Now let us know.
Jeez.
We want to hear about it.
Larceny.
Yeah, right. All right. Before I close out, Ryan, any final thoughts or what you want the listeners to do?
I think you covered it. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen. If you want to go from a chump to a champ, listen to the Marvel Champions podcast. Thanks.
See ya.